beautiful day in the neighborhood. Well, I'm going to say it because that's just what I sign in with. And I guess if you are a skier, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Not a skier.
Hey, if you a skier, it is a beautiful day. But if you are a sunshine baby like me, it is just a day. Because this snow, I was I was just at on Delavan doing some in a meeting in a meeting, and come out of the meeting. I go in the meeting with no hat on because it was nice out.
It sure was.
I don't have any rubbers on my shoes. I'm feeling good. Somebody comes in the building I'm in because I was in the room with no windows, and people come in with snow on their head.
Yep.
I'm gonna need a counselor. I'm gonna need a counselor for. Oh, that's mine. I'm gonna need a counselor to help me get through this winter. Because
Yep.
when I tell you this winter is just not it's not friendly to me.
Yeah, this isn't even your normal seasonal depression. This is because
Man.
you on a depression roller coaster if you got seasonal depression right now.
Well, count me in. Hey everybody, lot to talk about today, and a lot of it out of Challenger. We're going to talk about some stuff that's there. Got a guest here today. I know. So let me start up top, and I want to say to those who have been working on the Topps Memorial, thank you for what you're doing. My Facebook profile has been the Topps Memorial for almost 2 years. I changed it the other day, and I changed it because of this exhibit at AKG, which is basically our art gallery, in which they did these kind of, I think, wonderful paintings and renditions of the people who passed, and they brought them to life. And my picture kind of remembered the deaths.
Yeah.
And it was like, after, we're about to approach the second year anniversary, I think I'm starting to transition from the mourning of the deaths, because many of the families have taken what they have been through and just done some very positive things.
Absolutely.
Right? So you got Mark Talley out there who has done book, who's really active in the community. Zanetta, who is now the Honorable Zanetta, not that she took what she's been through to become that. She could have became that without that. But the point is, she took the tragedy of what her son went through and did the books. The giveaway books, and got involved even more in an independent way in the community. And I could go on and on from Garnell Whitfield and what he has done to bring attention, the lawsuits for social media, against social media, which I think are very appropriate. And so I just changed it the other day to go like, okay, let's take the positives as we go into this second year and figure out how now we continue to heal, because the healing is not over.
Absolutely.
But we press forward.
Yes.
So this AKG, and to see some of the comments about it, it was so big to me and so meaningful to me. And so, as we approach this anniversary, I just keep thinking, and I think everybody, just like 9/11, thinks about, where was I on this day? And I keep, but I'm trying to get to that point of, because so much has changed. And I told you, at this age, I just say whatever. But, it used to be a point, and then I'm going to get to the guest, that we looked at each other kind of strange, right? And now, we had a person in church the other week. Oh, you weren't here.
Yes, I was.
You were here about the Palestine stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on the platform right behind you.
Okay. So we have this is a predominantly African American church.
Yes.
Predominantly. We have Latinos, we have white folks that belong here, go here regularly. But I'll be honest, when you come in with a coat, long coat and bag,
Like a cloak.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're being safe. You
Yes.
just don't know. And when you
Absolutely.
find out that the shooter of Tops kind of profiled your church,
Yeah.
you're careful. So we do this whole, I don't know what caused me to do this Sunday.
Impromptu testimony.
So I'm like, we only have an hour, number one. Our service is about an hour. So I do this, hey, if the Lord is not, it's something for somebody, quickly come on up and say it.
And I will say, for a majority of the people, they did it a great
Oh, yeah,
job.
yeah.
98% of the people.
98%.
Yes.
So then this individual who we never seen here, and the reason we're careful, because when you look at whether it's here, whether it's Tops, whether it's what happened at Joel Osteen's church, you got to be careful. You just don't know. You don't know the mental space of people. And a guy comes up, and I think he starts to talk about what God has done for him. And then he says, addresses me as the council president and why I needed to free Palestine or something.
Yeah. Stand with the innocent victims of Palestine.
During church.
Yep.
So I say to him, I'm not the council president.
Yep.
Number one, this isn't that space. And he keeps talking. And so, he's kind of, we never put him out of church.
No.
Matter of fact, he stayed for church.
Sure did.
We repositioned him.
Yes.
And then he stayed and he was all into the service. Now, I bring that up before I get to the guests because I want to be very clear, and I have been clear. So if there's any groups you think you're going to keep coming to True Bethel and talk about Free Palestine, number one, you obviously don't know my stance on this.
Sure don't.
So let me be very public in it. When the whole I Stand with Israel, came out, I have no problem, especially with Hamas going after Israel did not antagonize Hamas.
Exactly.
Hamas went in. It came into Israel and attacked and killed people. Horrible.
Yep.
But I was very careful in my comments because standing with one that does not mean you're not standing with the other.
Correct.
And I have stood from day one with innocent victims of war.
Yes.
And I do believe that there's a limit.
Yes, there is.
And if you tell people to move to an area and they move to that area, you can't then keep coming in and shooting up that area.
Regardless of
because
who
there
they
are
are. Yep.
innocent children and women and men.
Yes.
Every man over there is not a terrorist.
No.
I don't want to now paint them in the picture that many black men get painted with.
Yes.
That if you a black man, you got to be a criminal and you got to be a hood or you got to be stealing or you got to be doing all that. So I want to make it clear. I stand the same way I stood with the innocent people of Israel and their families who were killed. I also stand with the innocent people who are in the strip who are not shooting.
No.
Like, that's important. But let me tell you why sometimes I get a little agitated. We got a whole war going on in Haiti.
Silence.
And it's like, who cares? It's just black folks
Yep.
killing black folks. I have that same compassion.
Yes.
And I think as a world, and I know Haiti is not a part, I don't think they're a part of the United Nations.
No.
So, of course, the world doesn't go and stand up for them. But I don't know why they're not a part of the United Nations, but what I do know is it is, if not one of the poorest countries in the world. And so I do stand with this group. I stand for innocent people being mowed down. But if I then don't mention people of color,
Yep.
I've been to Haiti. I have been to Haiti. I went to Haiti to help after the earthquake. Went to Haiti. At the end of the day, our world has to be more concerned about everybody. Then I can buy it.
Yep.
But you can't come in here to bring attention to an issue and first of all, you ain't never had a conversation with me to know where I stand.
Right.
Because you wouldn't have did all that. And you be careful coming into a church full of just be careful, bro.
Yeah.
But like I said, he cooled his heels, sat his butt down.
Yes.
But I'm not the council president. I'm not the council president.
Nope.
When people call me right now for council business, I give them the number to Leah Halton Pope. We don't even need to talk about it.
Nope.
It's a role that I have retired from, that I've let go, and other people are in position.
Yes.
But as a man, as Darius G. Pridgen, when we talk about free Palestine, let's talk about help Haiti.
Yes.
Let's talk about aid to Africa
Yes.
in places that need it. Let's have the real conversation, because where one group wants, I'm clear. I'm very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris just came out, which I was surprised, talking about a ceasefire.
Well, I think
What's up with that? And I'll go to my guest because I don't want to get her too. I don't want to get her wrapped up in this.
I think what ends up happening is, and whether she believes it or not, or it's political, because you right now, if you have her say it, then you can kind of encapsulate her away from the president's initial feeling of it while you're on this campaign trail. So I hope she really means it, but if not, then this is just another political strategy to encapsulate the president, but this is how we really feel. And we'll see.
We're going to talk a little bit about Donald Trump when I finish with my guest. We got to talk about it. We got to talk
sure
about
do.
these elections coming up and what's
sure do.
happening. I got a guest today. Tell me your name. You've been here before.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me again. So my name is Jahaira Zapata. I'm the Deputy Director.
I love how she says that.
Economic Development.
Jahaira Zapata.
Yes. It just rolls right off the tongue. Been saying it for a long time.
You're the Executive Director where?
A free economic development at the Enterprise Center at Pastone.
What's going on? What are you guys doing again this year?
Yeah, so for the fourth year in a row, we are doing She Means Business. And so, we have a few folks that have participated before
Yep.
that are signing up again. But basically, it's a free virtual 7-week program. It's an intensive program. We basically go over the foundations. We go over financing, marketing, and then basically it culminates in a pitch competition with the opportunity to win up to $5,000 for your business.
$5,000. How much does it? And it's for women.
Yes, for women.
And how much does it cost for them to take this
Free.
virtual? So they don't even have to leave
$0.
their living room.
No.
They don't have to leave their bed. They can do this for free. How many days a week? How many hours when they sign up?
Yeah, so it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
Okay.
Tuesdays are class, and that's from 5 to 7:30.
Okay.
And then labs are Thursdays from 5 to 6:30. And labs really are just a space where you can kind of come in and say, hey, I didn't fully understand one of the concepts presented in class. Can you help me go over this? And then through each class, we're actually going to be going over part of what's going to happen in their pitch. So they're going to simultaneously be preparing to pitch their business.
Okay.
And so again, lab is another opportunity to just say, hey, this is what I've got so far. What's your feedback on it? How can I make it better?
So the target audience is someone who is interested in opening a business and hasn't.
So early stage business, we're looking for potentially it would be pre-launch would be like you have not launched but have a solid concept and you
Okay.
just haven't taken that step to launch yet.
Okay.
Up until 24 months operational.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you open for 2 years, you can get in.
Yes.
Now, there are some people out there who are pre-launch in the sense that they have been doing business but not doing it legally.
Right.
So you got people out there who are makeup artists. And when I say legally, I don't mean they're breaking the law. But
No, yeah.
they're not
but
on the
there's
books.
just
They don't
not
have a
forms.
business.
Right.
A business license. So you have people out there who've been doing that. Are they welcome to come into that
Yes.
space?
Yeah, really. So, I ideally everybody can sign up, right? But we're being specific about this year, saying early stage, because we want to make sure that, you know, everyone knows here's the curriculum. If you feel like you've already got this down packed, then maybe this isn't for you, right? But to your point, if someone has technically been in business for 4 years but they don't feel like they really have it yet, and they want to cover these foundational things, then yes, of course, please apply. And we're contacting folks. And again, being very transparent, this is what we're offering. If you think that this will be beneficial to you, please go ahead and join.
So they can sign up, they take the classes, and they could be eligible
Yes.
for $5,000. That would be, they could use it for what? That
For their
5,000?
business, really anything that they want to do for their business. So maybe they need to do the legal formation, right? Maybe they need to buy products. Maybe they need to, you know, build their website, or, you know, do some other marketing pieces. Really, it's up to them what they do with the money. The idea is that they use it for their business.
So last year you done this for 4 years,
This
right?
is our 4th year now.
And so was it successful?
Oh, yeah.
Who won last year? Do you remember?
Last year, so I should start with saying Citizens sponsors
Okay.
this program.
Yeah,
Which
I was
is,
going to ask that.
yeah.
Citizens Bank
Yes.
sponsors this program. Big ups to Citizens
Yes.
Bank. Thank you very much for caring about our community, investing in our community.
Yeah, they've been a huge help on board since day one with this
And that's why
program.
people don't have to pay, because Citizens Bank
Exactly.
is paying the bill.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So last year, I should have remembered. I should have looked this over before I came.
It's okay.
But I'm trying to remember. We had a winner from Buffalo, a winner from Rochester, and we had 3 winners.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember who that. One of them was actually.
What type of business do you remember?
One of them was like it was actually a men's spa. It's groom room spa, I think is what
And
it's
that was
called.
a woman-run spa?
Women-run spa,
Okay.
specifically catering to men wanting to
Right.
get facials and all of this spa stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
really dope concept. And I'm trying to remember who the other 2 were. I will get back.
But
to
was
you on
that like a pre-launch? Or
No, she was actually already in business and needed some money for marketing and to expand her line of products. So she was one of I think she was actually the first prize winner.
Wow.
So there are 3 prizes. So
Okay.
you can win up to $5,000, which $5,000 is the grand prize. But the other 2 prizes are $3,000 and $2,000.
So there's other opportunities outside. How many people participated last year, and how many slots do you have this year?
So for pitching, we always have 10 finalists.
Okay.
But in terms of completing the entire program, we usually end up having probably like 30 plus complete the program. And then prior to that, we have maybe like 60 plus actually going through. So
Okay.
when we say complete, it's basically you've met the attendance requirements,
Okay.
right? So you have all of the stuff, and you don't have to pitch if you don't want to, right?
Okay.
It's not mandatory, but obviously it's an opportunity for you to win free money for your business.
Right. So you could just get the classes, get the knowledge, and go on about your business, or you can pitch and try to win $5,000, $3,000, or $2,000 all at the same time. How do people get in touch? Where do they find the information?
Yeah, so you can go to our website. It's theenterprisecenterinc.org. I know that's really long, but the easiest way would be to text She Means Business, and that
Okay.
would be to 716-308-0506.
Okay, so radio, you got to say it twice, so
Yeah.
say it one more time.
Text She Means Business to 716-308-0506.
All right, so there it is. She Means Business starts April the 2nd. Those of you on social media are able to see it right now. Free virtual 7-week intensive program for women. You can win up to $5,000, but you also could win 3 or you could win 2. But what I think is most important is to get the knowledge to share with other women in business and to move forward. And
Yeah. If I can add one thing.
Absolutely.
So, unfortunately, I don't remember all of the winners from last year's
Sure.
course. However, we did have a winner come back from one of the previous cohorts that we did, and her name is Victoria. She does the Pink Tub. So,
Okay.
based on the money that she won from our program, she was actually able to go out and expand her line. And so now she's working with, I think it's the Navy. So her product was specifically for people that had gone through chemo and like had cancer treatments, and then we're having these skin issues, right? So basically, she's been able to work directly with hospitals. She's been able to work
Wow.
directly with the military to have her products available on military bases. And so she is like going from where she
Wow.
started. She's completely expanding her business.
I think that's very important that there are success stories that have come out of these 4 years. And it's not just putting out the information, but it's actually looking back and seeing those who have achieved. And so I say to people all the time, you know, a lot of times in our communities, we get tax money back and all that. You know, there are places that you can invest your own money, and one of the best places to invest is in yourself and in your dreams and in those things, because you know, sneakers only last so long, gold earrings only last so long, but investing in yourself is one of the most important investments somebody can make.
Yeah, no one can take that away from
They
you.
can't take it away. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you wrapped up in other conversations. Any
It's
last
all right.
words you want to give?
No, just thank you for having us. We really appreciate you having us here.
All right. She Means Business is you can go right. You can just search that and it'll be there. If you're watching by social media, you can, of course, just look back at the tape. Guess who's getting back?
I saw.
You saw into politics.
I saw.
Lovely Warren, who was the mayor of Rochester. Now, let me just tell you this. I love Lovely Warren.
Absolutely love her.
I love me some Lovely Warren. I think that she was a great mayor. I think that unfortunately some circumstances, kind of changed things for her. But she is talking about running for judge.
Yeah.
And I really wish her luck. And, this would be a person, I don't know how the campaign stuff works, but that I would throw a little support.
Absolutely.
She's an attorney. She's been an attorney for 20 years. And I know Lovely personally. She just cares about people.
Yes.
And she is very humble and she reached out to clergy in Rochester for them to duplicate what clergy in Buffalo have done in housing. And that was just big, bringing them to Buffalo, letting other people speak to them and help them to develop. And I don't think it ever really got off the ground for many of them, and especially without her being there. But I think she would make a terrific city court judge, and I just welcome her back. Although it's Rochester, it doesn't matter. We're so close to Rochester. But I think that it would be a great comeback story.
I completely agree. Like you said, I echo everything you said. I'm a huge fan of her, very supportive. She even, I know early on when the ARP funds started coming around, what her initial plan was such a unique concept because she was putting a lot of money into housing
Absolutely.
through the ARP fund. So I don't know if they kept her same proposal, but like you said, I was happy to see that article and her getting back in.
Yeah.
And being up, and she said, I'm gonna be up front. Everything I went through. And
Yeah.
we're still gonna make this happen.
I agree. That's just wonderful. So she's coming. We're gonna pay the bills. We come back. I want to talk about a little bit about this presidential race, some concerns I have, and some thoughts that I have about maybe what could be one of the biggest comebacks in American history. We're gonna go over to the station
What a
in
tease.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo: 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally, 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free, 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
Yeah, some more interesting things that I was reading about. Wait a minute, let me get to the new poet laureate of the city was introduced. So congratulations to her. So here is my thought. Some people have written off the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, as if it's impossible for him to make a comeback. Now, there are these studies that are coming out about Black and Latino voters.
Yep.
And not my age, but especially younger, who some of these studies are showing, not studies, surveys, are showing a lack of support for the Democratic Party, period. Right? And so we talked about in our last show all of these different age groups and where they're at. And I think the age group of the 18-year-olds, whatever this generation is called, 18 to 30 or so, are looking for an alternative. They're looking for Bernie Sanders,
Yes.
but not Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're looking for an alternative to the Democratic Party and to the Republican Party, and probably this time would have been Bernie's biggest chance. Because you have people who are, now although Bernie is older himself,
Yes.
right? But at the end of the day, he was talking a different language than what the Democratic Party nationally talks and what the Republican Party nationally talks. And so the question is, do they just not vote? Do they lean back and not vote? Now, Trump is still packing campaign stops.
Yes, he is.
And even with all of the legal troubles and needing to put this bond up, which Letitia James is not playing. She already looking at his properties now. It's not going to happen overnight. But those of you who haven't been following this, basically, Trump has lost several lawsuits. And he's appealing them, of course. Which means if you don't understand that he's going back saying, hey, there was a flaw in the system. I don't agree with the judge's decisions. That the decision was wrong because of this, this, and this. And the judges are saying, we still want you to put in the bank the money that you got to pay and not in your bank.
Right.
We want it in our bank now.
Right.
So he says he's a billionaire. He has almost $500 million that he needs to put in the bank. He got one company to give him what's called a bond, which basically the company says if he loses the appeal, we'll pay it.
Right.
Now, I forgot the amount. That might have been $90 million. Now he needs to come up with 400 and something million. And he's saying nobody will bond it. No insurance company will give him the money to say, because I think the insurance companies know you're probably going to lose. So then we're stuck paying $400 million, and we're not going to do it.
No.
And one of the companies that he went to is one of the companies that he's accused of defrauding. However, with all of that, he still is the front runner. And because he's the front runner, and I'm not endorsing anybody on this show. I'm just talking what's out there, what's fact. Because he's the front runner, that means the Republican Party is they're going to back him, and which means he then will run the Republican Party of the United States.
Yes.
Whoever's the front runner is in charge. They come in, they say, you're not going to be here. He's already removed the person, the woman who was in charge of the Republican Party, replaced her with who he wanted. He's a contender.
Yes.
If then a whole generation, because I think my generation, African Americans, are going to stick with Democrat, going to stick with Joe Biden. I'm not sure of what happens in the middle.
Well, I think we saw it on Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday was really scary because in the battleground states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and a few others, you saw where the Democrats that sat home or protested because of the Gaza-Palestine war, they're going to be the defining mark in the difference in November, because I think in Michigan, 31,000 of them voted blank or another party, this, that, and the other, away from Biden. I think when they did the breakdown, Biden only won Michigan by like 15,000 votes. So now if those 30,000 Democrats sit home, now Trump takes Michigan by a large margin. So now, like you said, and I think this is where, and I get, where people want to let their voices matter through votes. I completely understand. But I think it's also, at what point do you say, am I going to hold up the country's progress protesting one issue, and then now have someone who really doesn't care about everything else that I care about back in office? So at some point, you do have to make that overall decision. And that's where I think this country, like you said, that voting block that is undecided is generally going to have to make its final issue.
So I'm reading different sources right now, and it talks about Trump has an early lead on Biden. Right now, they're saying it. But problems are piling up around him. I don't think those problems hurt the Trump constituency.
No.
I think they fire up his base.
Absolutely.
And I think the more you go after him, the more his allies rise up and go, we've got to protect the president, our future president. So even Reuters is now saying, how could a third-party candidate put Trump in the White House? It is possible.
Absolutely.
Because if you have somebody, and you do right now, his own family isn't supporting him, but one of the Kennedys.
Well, and you also have Cornel West.
Yeah, you got Cornel West out there. So you do.
Yeah, you have other options that...
I don't see a big groundswell. No. Now, I'll just say this, though. When Barack, and I can remember Damone Smith saying to me, man, this is candidate out here, Barack Obama. And I was like, man, come on.
I said the same thing.
I'm like, who is he?
Said the same thing.
I said, first of all, they ain't going to elect him because his name Barack. So they're not doing it. They ain't doing it. They like names like Joe and all that kind of stuff, right? Ronald and all that kind of stuff. So hearing Barack Obama, number one, right from and this dude won.
Sure did.
This dude won.
Because, like you said, he talked a little different language and appealed to an audience. And what people have to kind of put in perspective is the Barack Obama effect also put Trump in office, because he showed you how you can wake up a base that doesn't vote, how to interact with them.
Yes.
And if you can turn the rally into votes, then but Barack Obama laid out that model for everybody. The struggle is you really don't have another Democrat who can hop on that bandwagon, because, like I said, we're riding with Uncle Joe because he masters the middle the best.
Yeah.
But is he out here and making us believe in a change that we can all see? Not really.
Yeah. I agree with you. So this article out of Reuters, and if I'm getting any feedback on Facebook, I apologize. My computer died. Democrats and Republicans, and we're almost up there, dominate the U.S. Two-party political system. But independent candidates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other third-party challengers, they don't even mention Cornel West, could have a major impact on this year's presidential election. Reuters spoke to a dozen strategists who are gaming out how a third-party candidate could land in the unusual U.S. electoral college system. Each early scenario show a third-party candidate is likely to take more votes from Biden than Republican Donald Trump. Even narrow margins could make a difference in a handful of battleground states that are decided by a thin sliver of votes and could go Democrat or Republican. So this is a crucial time, and I'm telling you, I'm not as secure as like when Barack ran and he had opposition. I was like, man, y'all go sit down. Y'all wasting your money.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. This man is going to win. I am not as secure, especially with this generation saying we just sitting this one out.
Yep.
And we don't want either one of them. And what we talk about age the last time we were on the air, this kind of ageism, the press makes a lot and he's the president, but when he has, mixes up a word.
Yep.
But the other day, Trump said that, talked about Obama when he meant Biden.
Yeah.
And that just is like it's a slip. So I'm not.
And that's the thing. Trump was making miswords and misquotes when he was in office too, and when he ran the first time. Like you said, it's all about who spends it and who we watch the most, or who we, of course, let's control social media and the media in general. I feel, like you said, I don't feel as comfortable. And I think somebody in the Challenger put it as quoting Trump when he said, "If I get in, I'm never leaving." Well, first of all, there's a whole law against that. So,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, he learned that the last election
Right.
when you lost and you didn't want to pack up your house. Sir, you don't get to pack up your house. They're going to pack up your house for you. They pack it up in hours.
So I do, but like you said, I don't feel as comfortable. I don't know what the Democratic Party needs to do, because some of the criticism against the war, I think, is unfair, because what do you want the United States to go over there and do? Enter a World War III? Like, so it's like, no, we should be doing more for peace and this, that, and the other. And it's like, you don't want us to go into Ukraine. You don't want us over here, but we need to be in Israel. I think it doesn't make sense. So that's somewhere where I'm like, someone needs to help me, because maybe I'm the uneducated voter. I thought I was
right.
I thought I was good, but I just don't know what the undecideds want.
Well, I think, part of the appeal of Donald Trump to his base is about this kind of, let's do it in Buffalo, in the United States. Let's bring, let's make America great again, right? So let's bring the jobs back. Let's bring this back. I think any third party candidate, now I'm reading right now about Kennedy's platform, any third candidate, not third party, but third candidate, has to bring the appeal of how the United States, and be able to cross the aisle.
Absolutely.
How the United States needs what we need. Because I always say there is so little attention on what we need. I'm all for 10 toes down for Ukraine.
Absolutely.
I'm all for stopping the conflict in Israel. I'm all for how do we help Haiti. But at the end of the day, I'm all down for how we help here.
Absolutely.
And we have a housing crisis. We have in not everywhere, but if the attention is not on your poorest and on your left behind and on your underrepresented, then those populations just go, well, now you want my vote, but you didn't care about my welfare.
I feel like I just wanted to open the door, because like you said, even when we talk about how we deal with the immigration issues that we have. We battle that by saying, or asylum seekers, however we want to look at them. They come over here by however they can. They end up if you end up in a red state, you're getting bused to a blue state. That's what's been going on. And then we find vacant motels to house them.
Yep.
We find public buildings to house them.
Yep.
But there's not that same energy for our veterans that are sitting homeless under bridges right now either. It's always, if they got the benefits, get to the VA. Well, then why not put that same energy? Hey, you know what? We're going to take 20 homeless veterans and we'll give them 6 months in a hotel so they can get themselves back together. And so, like, it always is that, let's help everyone else. But, if you were born here, you should figure it out on your own.
Well, and that's so I was talking to a business owner who is looking for more African-American employees, right? And he said that he was approached like, what are you doing for new Americans? And he was like, well, right now, nothing. And he was criticized for it. And he said, because my response was, I have Americans here who have been here.
Right.
And if I'm going to run a business and I'm serious about diversity, it's not just, I just want people of color.
Right.
He wanted to be very targeted.
specific.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we're afraid to have that conversation. And I'm all down for, I think that our country is a melting pot. I think,
Absolutely.
We're the only ones who didn't
came here by force.
Yeah, we're the only ones who came here by force. And whether people want to hear that or not, it's the truth.
Yep.
And so reaching out to that, I hope my volume doesn't come back out. Reaching out to that population, I don't think should be a negative, or trying to help that population shouldn't be a negative. But I don't see a lot of candidates who are saying that.
Right.
I don't see that. So I think that you got a generation of people right now some generations that are just like, I'm just not participating. I'm just not participating. And then in the end, if Trump pulls out the win, what I don't think people understand is that the reason right now affirmative action has been abolished is because the amount of conservative judges that have been put on the Supreme Court. So it's beyond who's the president.
Absolutely.
It's who's going to be the next Supreme Court person. It's what attention will be on housing. And I'm not going to say whether Trump believes in it or not. I'm just saying this in general. Let me just say in general. If you don't have a person at the helm, man or woman, who cares about the underrepresented communities and the housing struggles, nothing is going to get done. And no money, no significant money is going to flow. So that means if we have a housing problem now, we're really going to have a housing problem later.
Absolutely.
And at least what we could say, whether it's out of the state of New York and other places that are paying attention to the housing problem, there's more money in the state budget for affordable housing and all that. But after you do the affordable housing, you got to have still a plan in what you do to get people working. Thus comes Northland Corridor. It's all of these. One thing has to work with another, because to just stick people in affordable housing and I'm there for the rest of my life because I don't have opportunity.
You've now turned it into projects.
All you did.
Yep.
All you did was move them in an area, keep them out of other areas so they don't move in near you.
Yep.
What's interesting, and I know I'm all over the place, but even this fight in Cheektowaga right now about voting, we got to pay attention to this stuff. Cheektowaga, and it's one of the we had a guest, member here who ran for Cheektowaga Council, lost, but Cheektowaga does not have districts.
No.
It's what everybody's
town is
at
at
large.
large, yep.
So if the majority of people in a town are all purple people, if 80% are purple and 20% are green, and the green people say, we want to be represented too. And all of us green people live over here on the east side.
Yep.
And you say, oh no, we don't want wards. We don't what they are calling wards. I'll call them districts. We don't want districts. We want it to stay the same.
Yep.
Because now we keep purple people elected.
Yes.
And the people who have such big voices in this town and in this should be on this.
Yes.
So I want to be a part of that voice of saying, Pay attention to this stuff. Cheektowaga should have wards.
Yes.
They should have. So you got a portion, which I didn't notice until our guest was here. I just thought black folks were all over Cheektowaga. And he's like, no, the majority of, there's a concentration of African Americans in Cheektowaga in one area.
Lackawanna's built the same way.
Had no idea. And so if you don't have districts, you will probably never have an African American with African American interests, which is probably the second largest population of Cheektowaga, I would imagine. They'll never be elected. And so we've got to pay attention to this stuff because it affects us in so many ways.
Yeah, and like you said, it's what this whole country was built on. The scientific experiment of democracy was built on equal representation for the people that were living in the political unit. So if you are taking away the chance of representation from someone that looks like me, and we all know how important that is in every sphere of our life. When you go to church, you want to see a reflection of you either on
Somewhere.
stage, either on stage when I walk in somewhere.
Right.
If I walk into a workplace, I want to see a reflection of something of me or somewhere up the chain. That gives me hope. Like
Right.
if I see if I'm in an all purple business and I walk in, if I see at least one black person that's in the C-level suite, that gives me at least a little hope I can make it.
Yeah.
If it stays purple, then I'm like, why am I here?
Right,
So
right.
so that reflection also gives hope to that community that I can be seen, or someone's hearing my voice in a fair way.
May Bynum said, and I'm really not sure, maybe you know what this is, May. I apologize, I'm not sure. You just say on Broadway. She says, what about the complex they had that issues like no security, or that one on Broadway didn't have heat? The owners suffering pay hot. I'm not sure, May, if you want to explain it a little bit more. They can't get service in. You have to be very specific because there are many problems on Broadway at different places. But I think she talks about suffering paying high rent. I think it's these issues, whether it's education. We've got so many crises. We might not be fighting in the streets like Haiti. We might not be taking over buildings like Haiti, but we've got our own domestic problems.
Yes.
We've got an educational system by and large that is suffering, especially for Black and brown children, and especially after COVID. Okay, so switch gears.
And you just can't keep
Go ahead. Right.
can't keep throwing money at education and be like, well, we're giving more per student. Well, what are you doing with the more
Absolutely.
per student? But yeah.
So stay right there, because that's the segue into the last thing. So school board gets this data that was given to them, Buffalo School Board, and from what I am reading and what I was told is that they get the data on the night, I think, of the meeting or workshop, whatever, when they were getting together. They didn't want to release it right away because it was like, hey, we just got this data.
Right.
And we need to disaggregate the data. We
Right.
need to look at this data.
Which is fair.
And say, okay, these numbers say this and this is why. Because I know, as a former elected official who has dealt with the press for over a decade, if you hand the press something and you let them tell the story without there being any context to the text,
Right.
What will happen is it gets out there and it could be wrong.
Right.
So they weren't, from what I'm being told, now y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't not release the data. They wanted to look at the data, and then they came back the next week with the data and with an explanation of the data. And I believe the superintendent says something to the fact of putting a face on the numbers.
I did see that, yes.
Right.
Yep.
I this is me, and I'm a fan, but if it's wrong, I'm going to say it's wrong. I understand that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I thought it was totally fair for them to say, we're not just handing you something that we just got. And at the end of the day, same thing happened, unfortunately, and I'm all over, but the post office, I won't go there today. But the data of when you look at these numbers, our children are still, they're not achieving at the numbers that anybody would
Right.
want them to achieve.
Absolutely.
So now the COVID money is gone. So so now there's a hiring freeze with Buffalo Public Schools, and the notification that some of the elementary schools are going to grow in size as they don't replace some teachers. And now it's not a horrible shift. It's going from somewhere like 15 to 18. It's still, our children need the most intensive help of anybody in this region right now. And at the end of the day, those are the conversations that we need to advance to elected officials and everybody else. But if the country changes, and whoever it is, I can't control it. I mean, I can promote the people who I feel, but at the end of the day, it's the voter. But all I'm trying to say today is we have to be aware that voting is beyond the person that I want to be in. She says St. John Towers does not have security, haven't had security of a year. I think they need to build a tenant council. Yeah, and call the council member. Call the council member.
And I believe they do have a tenant council, but
they do.
But yeah, no, like you said, at the end of the day, just be informed, but don't be, like you said, don't just be informed on the presidential. Be informed about the down ballot stuff too.
Absolutely.
Who am I putting in at Congress? Who am I putting in my county seat? Who am I putting in my city state? Who am I putting in my state seat? Because again, you can vote for a president because they have your belief, but then say, oh, well, such and such visited my church, so I'm going to circle them. But locally, then whatever your dreams are at the presidential level, by the time it sifts back down through to the local levels, they done changed your priorities and where you thought money should be going. So
absolutely.
Stay informed down ballot as well.
Absolutely. And let me say this for me, just as general information. An apartment complex is not required to have security. Just so you know, it's not a city code or anything. The codes deal with doors being locked and entry and all that kind of stuff. But St. John did have a tenant council when we were there, and they were fairly effective. There's a different management team there, so I don't know much about it because I ain't there right now. But I'll give you voice.
Would you call it I'm the president of my mountain?
I'm the president of my own business. That's what I'm the president of. Hey, listen, Hobson's did he bring me a sheet?
Yes, it's.
Is it?
I think it's behind that paper, the Challenger.
Okay. Hobson's, the doctor of dry cleaning, 874 East Delavan. They pay the bills here. That's why we can talk this talk and walk this walk. And Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, 3 locations to serve you in the hour of need. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. They took care of the Maggie Cumberland family, Barbara Bates, Timothy Crowley, baby boy Henry, and baby girl Henry, Laretha Ridgway, Marstan last week, and many others this week in your hour of need. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. Listen, I'm going to throw it back over to the station. They got the better commercials than I do. Thank you to our sponsors. Until next week, power to the people.